everybody, it's Jeannie with Jeannie's Palette, and today I'm painting in a YouTube collaboration all about animals, and our hosts are Clary's Creations Part 2 and Nikki's Eye for DIY. Let's get to painting.
Now on this first one that I'm doing, we're going to paint ourselves a pretty little blue bird. I'm starting out here just sketching out with a small round brush. I'm just deciding where my bird's going to sit and the little branch, and it's just kind of a rough draft in. And I tell you here that it kind of looks like a football with one end cut off. So that's a good way to imagine it as we put that bird's body onto the branch there. Now I've already done the background, as you can see, with a light blue white and a kind of a gray color in an X fashion. I use flat brushes mostly, and then round brushes just for our finer details. And here I'm just drawing in, painting in the little tail for the bird, and we're going to add some little sides to it to give it some wings. So this is a painting really anybody can do. You just have to imagine it differently. We put our little, you could even imagine it as an ice cream cone, and we just put our little ice cream scoop right on the top. And now we're giving her a little beak there just for reference point. I'm coming back in, and I do change it a little bit at the end, as you'll see, so stick around, make sure you see that part. So right now I'm having red and white and a little bit of brown. I got that kind of off the screen there. I do apologize. We're just going to put that on the chest here, and I'm going to do quite a bit of blending here to make it look more like a little ruffled chest on a little bird. And I didn't like that the red and white were kind of mixing together and making pink. We didn't want a pink chest. So adding in some more white and some more brown, and just using the tip end of my brush so it adds a little bit of texture to the painting. Now you could use a palette knife here if you would like, but just for good coverage, I think the brush works really well if you're just using the tip end the brush, and just keep on layering and getting that body there. And I keep showing you up close so you can get a better view as we shade in and bring it to life here. So it's a little fluffy. I do say that quite a few times in this video, that it's a chunky little bird. It is winter, so his feathers are a little fluffed up, is what we can imagine. That it's a wintertime bluebird. He's just trying to stay warm on the little branch in there. So I'm just layering in some little white feathers on his breast here. I think that looks really good. And at some point here, he really looks like we would be looking at the back of him there. But we'll get him turned around here facing us in just a few minutes. Now I'm going to work on his face a little bit here. I do change that quite a bit toward the end, because I just had a lot of trouble with this face, getting it the way I wanted it to look. And of course, yes, it is looking white, but these different colors do help with shading, so it's not so flat when we're trying to get our painting done. He's looking pretty good so far. Looks like a little snowbird right now. So here I am getting some blue on my brush, a pale blue and kind of a primary blue. I'm going to work on his tail. And as you see, that brown is just disappearing there, almost being erased into that background. And so we'll just keep layering there as well. It's a primary blue, just using some craft paint, acrylic paint on this one. That looks pretty good. And now I want to work on with those same colors there, come over and add some wings onto his little side here. Probably would have done better to come in a little bit more right to start with the wings, but we work it out and just make him a little bit fluffier and get the blue wings on there. He's a really pretty little blue bird. Look at that guy sitting there on that branch. Alright, so I'll just let you watch a little bit of the painting and I'll pick up in a few minutes. Alright, so right here we see I'm adding some color to his head. He almost starts to look like he has hair, a little helmet head. And I struggled quite a bit with that. He just ended up looking a bit like a politician. That's all we'll say about that. But yeah, I kept having to work on that hairline quite a bit. I'm adding some more white in to blend. It's all about the blending, the layering. Now what you don't see in this video is I do allow some dry time in between adding some layers, and that's just because we don't want our painting to get all murky. Acrylics do dry relatively quickly. However, if you keep on adding on when it's wet, it just changes the color and it doesn't allow you to see all the colors and all the texture, and it just makes one flat color. So here I am adding some more red in. I just wanted some more red on the breast to make it look a little bit brighter, more like a bird. You know, I don't know that I've seen too many that are that stark white, and they do have a little bit of color to them there. So we're adding that in and making it look a little more realistic or dimensional. And as you see when I show it up close, that does look like there's a little bit of texture just by the way I'm dabbing the paint on in small little tiny strokes. And we're going back up here and working on the face some more. Adding, layering some more. And it just looks like he's got a little white mask right now. I just had a struggle with that. But hey, here's the thing about painting. It should be relaxing. Even while we're working out the details, it should be fun. And just relaxing as you do it. And if that's what we focus on instead of the end result, then we'll do good. Our journey as we go. That's what we forget in life often, is enjoying the journey. I can almost hear this little bird chirping on this branch. He's really cute. Look there. I'm bringing some more blue. Bringing more blue there. I'm working it. Well, today's playlist is all about animals, and I do have a couple more animals for you that I'm going to paint out here, and I think they might be a little bit quicker than this one is. So I hope you will stick around and see how they turn out. I do love painting animals. Birds are one of my absolute favorite things to paint. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I don't know, birds really count as an animal. I hope so. I hope it qualifies. So we'll get to seeing a few more animals. I'm an animal lover, and I was very excited to join this playlist today. Now I'm adding a little bit of a brown, again, more brown, thinking that's going to help things. It just adds a little bit of a shading to him, and then we're going to get rid of some of the white on his face. Now here I'm going to come in and we're going to work on the branch and let the face dry a little bit. I had just dotted in where I wanted my branch when we started. Now I'm going to come back and it's going to make it look more like he's facing us. He's sitting on that branch. I'm just adding some cocoa brown here as the color. I think it was an Americana acrylic paint. And then I come back with black with a liner brush and just here and there. I don't line the whole branch. Just trying to give it some dimension with different colors like a branch would actually have. And now I'm going to go back in and add some white. You could use some dark titanium here, you know, or a khaki color, light wood. That would be nice. Now we're going back up here and working on this head a little bit more. I just can't get it. And yeah, it really does look like a helmet head now, but we're gonna fix it up. I promise it turns out like a masterpiece that anybody could do, and you could learn from my journey and not do quite so much of the things that I did. But yeah, I think it turns out fantastic here. There we go. Oh, cute. Oh. Sorry about that. Cut off his head a little. Alright, so now we're coming back in yet again with some more white, adding the texture and adding to make it look more like feathers on here on the little front. Toning down the red and the brown just a tiny bit, but you know, leaving it in the background so it is yet again more dimensional. Still again on the face. How often do we work on our own face? I think I need a facial. Alright, he's turning out pretty good. And I'm going to slim him down a little bit. And I can do that with the blue, pale blue that I used in the background to start with. Now I'm just fluffing up his wings a little bit, fluffed up his hair a little bit. Here I extended his tail, and then I immediately regretted it. So I went back in with that blue and away it went. Just like a magic eraser. And get it right back to where it was. So, you know, it's just paint. If it's something that doesn't work out right, you just keep on working on it. And we get a little bit of brown for a tiny little beak to the side. And give him a little eye there. And you will see, okay, let's work on his feet some here. Now I added in a little leg there, and then I do like some tiny little C motion so it wraps around the branch, like 3 little toes on each foot. I think that turned out pretty good, and I used the brown for that as well. I think I did outline with a tiny bit of black on the feet. And now I'm narrowing down things up here. Can look a little bit better. It's like a baby owl, only it's blue and has a tail. Now we're going to add some berries. I'm just dotting in some red there and some a little bit tinier in different sizes. And then I take my very tiny liner brush, I get some brown, and I lead to the branch to make it look like the berries are growing off of that little branch there, but no leaves. It's pretending it's winter time. I'm just adding some black to the bird to outline it, make it pop a little bit off the page. Now, you will see here shortly, I do paint the head a little bit more off video, and then work around his eye with some white. I'm just signing it here, just showing you to kind of balance your signature on your painting. So here you see I did paint the head blue, and then I put white around the eye. And we're moving on to our painting number 2. And this one I've got some red ochre, and I think I had a little bit of orange here, as you can see. And that orange was, that was something to work with too. Yet again, I'm using craft paint here, acrylic paint, and then I put some white in there. I did not wipe off my brush or clean my brush, just so I could bring in the lighter towards our animal that I'm going to paint in here. So I'm just keep on picking up the white. Every once in a while I might add a little bit of orange, but as long as I can pull in those sides into the center, we can use that. Now you see I have sketched in a little kitty cat, a little slinky cat there. That's what we're going to be painting for this one. And so I'm working on that background. I love doing backgrounds. I spend a great deal of time on backgrounds, and oftentimes the background is, I spend more time on that than I do the actual thing I'm painting. I just think it adds a lot to your paintings. Now I'm adding in some yellow. I wanted, and it's just plain yellow, I wanted to make it look like there was a glow off from the cat. It sounds like either a sunset or maybe a moon glowing off, whichever you prefer. But I was just trying to give it a glow coming up towards the kitty cat. Now I'm going back around my edges again. I'm adding that darker color just for blending, and I'll blend it away again, as you'll see. I just keep working on the blending. I don't know if you've noticed, I also paint, go ahead and paint the edges of my canvas when I'm painting. I try to wrap around, that's what I call it, whatever color's on the front. So you don't always frame these, but that white unfinished look is not appealing to me. And if you're not going to frame it, it needs something. And it's easier to match the color if you do it while you're painting. So just go ahead and get that done, especially if you're mixing any colors that might not be exact when you try to paint later on. So here we go again, more white. I thought it was too dark. We're going to add, I don't know what that was. Then I'm going to add in some, oh my goodness, we had some trouble. I'm going to add in a little bit of dark titanium white in the background and see if that helps me out a little bit. And that's just a little, it's almost a tan color, off-white color. And getting that on there. And I do paint over my sketch a little bit, but I can still see it. I just wanted a reference. Now I'm going in with some black on the bottom, and you see me wrap around. I'm going down to the bottom corner as well, and then just giving us a ledge or ground for our kitty cat to sit on, and just adding that black. Now I think in here I need something else with my kitty, so I'm going to grab a little bit of like a mixing here, some black and white, and then we're going to work on my cat. I didn't want it to blend into the ground and be the exact same color. And oh my goodness, I think I have like kind of cut off part of my painting. Hooey. Alright, so I think maybe we've got it right now, and we're getting that kitty cat painted in here. And I'm just using that dark gray that I've created. And here I'm telling you, I'm making it so the one side of the cat's face is a little bit rounder, so it looks like it's spacing out there. And that front ear maybe a little bit taller than the back, just to give it a little bit of dimension, so that you can tell that she's looking away from us. Now we're going to just paint in her skinny little leg. She's a long-tailed cat with a long leg. She's kind of sitting on the other leg, and then we're just going to paint her in. And I'm going in one direction, not just kind of whirligigging all around, just painting straight down for her, so that it looks more better. Remember that from Coloring 101. So I'm just using a small flat brush here and getting her all painted in there. You know, she would have really looked cute white, I think. But she's a black kitty. Dark gray. She's dark charcoal gray. And then we'll keep using that smaller brush to fill her in. And there, anybody, yeah, again, this is another one that anybody could do. I'll show you my black paint there, my Americana, and then there was some Master's Touch. I did put a little bit of red in that background. I can't tell you the color though, because it was unlabeled when I bought it. How about that? So we're just getting her in here. I did give her a tiny little bit of an elbow there, so it wasn't just one straight line on her leg. She's kind of cute, isn't she? And we're going to get her little tail, get it filled in. Looking good, looking good. Here, just painting it in. Giving it a little bit. And you can go back and highlight with some white, I think. Make her pop a little bit more if you want. I'm just trying to round it out there because it looked like I had a little indent in her tail. But she is one long-tailed cat. There we go, make the tail go over there. There we go. Looking mighty cute. I wish I'd have added a collar on her, but I didn't do that. That would have been really cute, a little pink collar. I think she's a girl. She looks mighty slinky to be a boy, I think. I'm working on her shoulder here. And so she's a fairly easy cat to draw and paint. There we go. There we are. I'm talking really fast. Alright, now we're going to add a little tree, I think, here. Alrighty, so now I want to paint in a little whimsical tree here. And I'm just using black. And just painting also off of that side that you can't really see right here. And when I come up with the branches, I'm just making them whimsy, just giving them a little bit of a curl. And I keep holding it up there to show you, but in editing, I kind of cut off part of it. Sorry about that. It's hard to tell sometimes. But here I am just getting the curly curls on the curly branches there. Alright, so we zoomed out a little bit. I'm just adding some little curls and make it a little more whimsical in our little whimsy world of long-tail, long-legged cats. And I love this little tree and how it's turning out there. It's a perfect little tree for this little kitty cat to have in her scenery. I don't think you can tell very well in this painting here. Okay. I'm not sure that you can tell very well that yellow glow on this painting, but it does really pop when I show you the final picture that'll be coming up here shortly. Yet again. Now I'm going to add another little tree that's a little bit further off, just a little branch on this one that's coming out here. And you'll see me put that around to the side. And we'll get that little branch painted on there. I will upload these videos. They were quite a bit longer, and for the sake of the playlist, I was trying to shorten them down for you, so just get the gist of the animals. But I do think they turn out great. So if you would like a longer tutorial, I will be adding those for you. And there's how she turned out. See that moon glowing in the back.
Okay, let's finish up this flamingo paint pour that I did a little over a week ago now. Well, exactly a week ago. She's dried enough that I can touch her up and finish up her beak and stuff, but she'll still need a couple more weeks, I think, to cure so I can seal her. Still quite a bit tacky in places, but hey, I love her and I really wanted to get started on making her look even better. So I'm taking the paints that I originally used for the blowout. We did a Dutch pour on her body, and I used those same colors on her head and neck in the live. Now on here, I'm just going on the natural place where the paint blew out, and I'm just covering, at least trying to cover up some of that background that is popping through her body. A lot of yellow peeked through from the back into her body as well. Now I'm going through and using that pink that just takes over the entire thing. And now I'm going back with a semi-opaque I have metallic pearlized paint, pearlized, not metallic, on top of the darker pink, trying to mute the colors just a little bit. And then I have a liner brush that the small little lines of paint that blew out, I'm just bringing them out, enhancing them a little bit. They're already there. I'm not adding too many things that were not original, and the things I do add, I want to make match like they were always there. That little spot there in the center, you want to see me working on it quite a bit. I did try to mute it a little bit with that pearlized pink. And then I'm going to go through with my small liner brush and add some white in there. And I'm going to put some veining across that big blob that's there in the center, just to make it not our focal point. I want the whole entire image to just mesmerize, not be drawn to a paint blot in the center. Now, I would suggest when you're doing these paintings, write down the colors you use. I mean, it's amazing how many things you just forget that you use. Write down the color, write down the consistency. I worked on her beak a little bit. I mean, her head and neck were perfect shape from what we originally did. Now, at the end, after the video, I do go back and round her beak a little bit. She looked more like a toucan swan to me, so I was just trying to make her look more like a flamingo, and do make her eye a little bit bigger afterwards as well. Now I'm just outlining, making that pop. It's amazing what an outline does. And a little 4 for her legs, and I did paint her legs in the pink that was used on her body and the coral, a tiny bit of white. Once she dried, though, it does look brown. That's because of that background with the green and the turquoise. I'd love to hear what you think about her, and if you'd like to try a flamingo yourself. I have a few more flamingos in mind that I want to try different things with, and some more bird tutorials coming up. Ta-ta for now. Ta for now. Once again, I'd like to thank Clarice Creations Part 2 and Nikki's Eye for DIY for hosting today's All About Animals playlist. Check my description for the link to the playlist so you can see all the videos today. And don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, and most of all, thanks for being here. I really appreciate you.